there we are. Another day, another flowcast, another technique that we're going to be learning today. Okay, today we're going to make some rainbows. Really nice, really simple, really easy. Again, like yesterday, builds on some of the concepts that we've been doing before. So let's look at what the animation is going to be, and then let's just dive straight into it. Okay, today we're going to... That's me listening to myself. All right, let's go and have a look. Here is flow. Here is the animation that we're going to be building. Okay, really simple. Animates in, animates out. How do we go and build this from scratch in Flow? Let's do it. Let's start with an empty timeline, and I'm going to click on the lock icon. I'm going to change this to 400 by 400. And then this can be any color that you want. We're going to change the scene background. I'm going to just turn on relative mode because I'm going to be making a bunch of changes at the beginning. And let's make ours, let's do, I don't know, black and green today. Okay. Or black and yellow. Yeah, let's do that. So here I've changed the background to nice black color. And all right, it's time to build these up. So there's a couple different ways we could do about this. You might think, well, those are arcs, so let's build some arcs. Those are, you know, it's animating from one side to the other, so that's probably the stroke. Yeah, so let's just try and do something like that. So how do you actually build an arc in Flow? Well, we did this the other day in the Pac-Man flowcast, the one we were building that chomping animation. It was like the first step. Let's just do the same thing again. Okay, let's make a circle. Relative mode's on again. And how do we turn this into an arc? Well, first let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's make the stroke, let's make that, I don't know, 20? Yeah, 20 looks good. And let's get rid of that. I will leave the fill color in for now. And what we'll do is we're just going to double click into that. So we double click in to get to the shape, to get to the path editing mode. And right here is where we start. This is where the path handle is. It's actually hard to see because the background is super dark. So let's go and undo this. Let's make this a little bit lighter. Let's make the background a super bright color. Okay. And then we'll double click into that. And there you go. There's the path handle. That's where the path starts drawing from. But we're making an arc. So let's go and delete that. And then what we can do is we can click on this edge right here and see it gives us the option to select these little handles. So for those, the curve handles, I just press shift and I select both of them and I hit delete. And so now there's actually no curve coming out of this between these two path points. And that means that we have a path that's flat. Okay, this is how you make an arc. Now the next thing we can do, we can select that edge and we're just going to delete it, just like that. We can, and we're drawing from the right, or from the left to the right, so what we'll also want to do is we're going to want to take this, path handle, we're going to move things around, and then we're going to press Option, and then we're going to drag the start over to this side. And you see this little arrow here? Well, the arrow means the drawing direction. So we're going to start this way and we're going to draw counterclockwise. That's what this is saying. So to change that, we can either reverse the path by pressing the button up in the top right, or we can Option double click. Pressing Option, we can double click on that little path handle right there. So now our path is starting at the right point and it's drawing out this way. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step would be to remove that fill color, and then let's give our stroke color some nice contrast. So we're going to invert the colors just like this, and now we have our scene set up. So what does this animation look like? Well, let's just do the animation for the first one, okay? And what we're going to start at, if we go back and look at this animation, starts from nothing and then animates all the way in, and then there's a break, and then it animates all the way out. So we're going to use the stroke start and stroke end for this. And if you recall, the stroke start and the stroke end, so if this is the beginning of the line where like the path point handle would be, and this is the end of the line, the stroke start is the starting point at which that stroke starts to get drawn, and the end point is where the end of the stroke gets drawn. It's not the beginning and the end of the shape at all, it's where the drawing of the stroke happens. So if the stroke end, right, is at 50%, we would be here, we would only draw for half of the shape. Okay, so we're going to use this principle again. We looked at it really in depth when we were doing the tracing stuff last week or the week before. We're going to use these techniques again, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set the beginning of my animation to have an endpoint. So I'm going to drop that endpoint. So I've selected the endpoint text field right here, and I'm just pressing down. See that? So we're drawing the end of our drawing of the stroke is getting closer and closer to 0. And so I'm just going to type 0, and now it disappears completely. I'm going to turn this on. So what we actually want to see here is halfway through, we want that thing to go back up to 1. Okay, so now our animation is going to go like this. It's going to draw out, and it actually draws back. That's not what we want, so we're going to open up the stroke end track right here, and we're going to delete that. And then right at the end here, we are going to select this again, and we are going to say the endpoint or the start point is going to come back up, right? So we're going to say the start point is coming up all the way to 1, just like that. And then we're going to overlap those animations by having them happen one after the other, like this. There you go. And that we have that caterpillar-like animation. Okay, so now we have that caterpillar-like animation. What are we going to do? Now we're just going to duplicate the animation over and over again. So let's just name this, I'm going to name this C, doesn't matter, but what I'll do is I will duplicate in place with key values. That's Command, Option, Shift, and V. Just going to do it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. We have 5 layers now. Okay, C0. Doesn't matter really which one we got. Let's call this C0. They're all the same. Press down, press enter, C1, C2, C3, C4, just like that. Now each one of these we're going to make just a slightly bigger. So let's take this animation, turn on relative mode. I'm going to change all of their anchor points to the bottom middle, because this is the point from which I want to be scaling these. And go over here. I'm going to select C1. I'm going to lock the size, and I'm going to press up and change the value of the height. And you notice how those start to those just barely overlap when they get to 70 and 140. And that's because our stroke width is 20. So we're going to increase each one of these by an additional 20 points. So I know that C2 comes after C1, and that was 70. So this is going to be 90 after I click this little lock, enter. There we go. C3 will be 110. And C4, click, will be 130. And now we have our animations. Oh, great, Travis. You were animating that whole time. Okay, that's fine. What we'll do is we're just going to take all of these, open them all up. And what I can do is I just delete the beginning and end points of those sizes, just like that. So we're back to only having the animations in there. Okay, so let's move that back down a little bit. And this is the animation that we have currently. Like that. Cool, right? So let's offset these things a little bit now. Let's see. Let's take these animations and let's offset the stroke ends by 0.1 each and see how that feels. All right, let's do this. I could do the distribution of it, but I just started doing it this way because it's pretty quick. And 0.4. Huh? Yeah, actually that's pretty good. That's pretty spot on. Let's now take these and just move the stroke starts out a little bit, just like this. And do something like that. And so what we're gonna do 0.4, that's to 0.9. Let's do this, and then we're gonna press shift and click the last ones, shift and click the last ones, shift and click the last ones, and then we are going to distribute those out. And I wanna actually have a little bit of time where this whole animation is completed, and we see how right now it's animating out as the first one is still animating in. I want to have a little gap between that so that it looks like a full arc, full rainbow. The way we do that is we just move this one out until it is right at the same starting time as that, like this. There we go. And there's just this little moment here where it looks like it's complete, and then it starts animating in. And let's have a look. Here we go. That's the animation. We could do something else to make it a little bit nicer. Why don't we just select everything and give it a cubic in out. That's going to make it slower at the ends and faster in the middle. Let's have a look at what that looks like. There you go. Kind of like it. All right. This is a pretty easy animation to do today. We've done some of the techniques before. We're creating animations, we're duplicating things. We are duplicating things with key values so that you have the same animation happening over and over again, so you don't have to rebuild that thing from scratch every time. We're simply scaling stuff. And it actually ends up being a really easy way of constructing and sort of offsetting your animations to give this really nice effect. Now, the way that we've done it is to use the stroke start and the stroke end. And I was thinking about, do we do a challenge today or not? And I think that, yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a challenge. Can you do this same animation, not using the stroke start and end, but do it with dash patterns and like the dashes and gaps and the dash offset? Let's see if you can figure out how to do that. That's pretty cool, actually. And then the other thing to do too is to give it a little shadow. Okay, so two challenges. You can do one or the other, or you can do both. And let me show you what I mean by shadows. Okay. So I had originally done this animation as a loading animation, or a spinner, basically. Okay, so we actually have in our Dribble account, it's dribble.com/createwithflow. We have all kinds of shots. Let's go with the most recent shots. And from time to time, we actually do these series of shots. All right, and the series of shots would be like these ones, where we have everything looks a little bit the same. There's like one theme, but different animations within that theme. And the latest theme that we did was checkboxes. So we used the iOS custom button to create checkboxes. And before that, another one that we had done was spinners. So Flow actually has the option for exporting an iOS custom activity indicator, which is literally just a spinner. And it's like a native iOS little class that you can use throughout any application, basically, whenever you see that spinning icon in iOS, okay, that's a activity indicator. And what we've done is we've been able to create a native version of that just has a flow animation right over top of the original spinning animation that comes with default iOS. And we did a series of spinning animations or activity indicators, and the rainbow was one of them. Okay, so if I scroll down just a little bit more on our Dribbble account here, let's go and find it. There. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. Maybe it's white to begin with. Yes, it's probably this one right here. There we go. Rainbow. Okay, let's click on it. There you go. So we actually made this spinner. Okay, and basically the exact same technique that we just showed, or we just worked through together. And what I mean by a reflection is this right down here. See this bottom part? All right. Can you figure out how to do that? What is the easiest possible way for you to figure out how to make that shadow happen? That's the challenge today, okay? So 2 challenges. 1, can you do it with dash offsets and dash patterns? And 2, add the shadow to it, or add the reflection to it, all right? Now, if there are any questions, we can go ahead and answer them today. I don't think there are, which is all right, because it is a Friday. And yeah, it's a Friday, and maybe everybody's just busy taking the weekend off. So I'll see you next week. Take it easy.